Joining me for more on this is New South Wales Deputy Premier and Regional Minister John Barilaro. Deputy Premier, appreciate your time this afternoon. As we just heard yesterday, that we were told there would be no statewide lockdown. Now this afternoon on Twitter, we're learning that there is a statewide lockdown. Can you run me through this decision and how it's been made?
Yeah, absolutely. Yesterday we had crisis committee. We were looking at the data that was put in front of us. There was no reason for a statewide lockdown overnight. You've seen the numbers, quite high numbers today. We've got concerns in Dubbo with numbers around 26. There are another 14 in the Hunter region. We're also concerned around some sewerage savannas that we've been looking at, and there seems to be a spread of that right across the regions, and where there are no known cases, and we know there is a real issue here. So what we want to do is make sure that we don't have long lockdowns, and this is more of a precautionary decision that we've decided to go into a lockdown for 7 days only, and I'm confident that's all it'll be.
Why wasn't the announcement made at 11 a.m. when everyone is tuning in to hear what the Premier has to say?
Because this is a moving feast. We know on the hour, every hour, there are updates of different data, and before the 11 o'clock meeting, we weren't made aware of some additional data from overnight, the surveillance data and information that was coming through. So post that 11 o'clock, the Premier and I, Minister Toole and other crisis members had a hookup, started to go through the detail, and it was clear, that we were looking at big parts of regional New South Wales that were either shut down by LGA. That's the death by 1,000 cuts. So the reality here is that we've just got to get in front of it, and that's why the decision was made when it was made, and it was made to act quickly. And we've always said if you act hard, fast and local, which is what we've done today, we can get in front of it.
How are you getting the message out then to regional communities who might not be on social media?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very difficult. It's very difficult when you've got to get the message out, and we understand it in some parts of the state. They probably haven't heard about it yet. And, of course, the media play an important role. You guys play an important role right across the board. And we've got the press release out there. We've got local MPs that have been ringing their community leaders, their mayors, etc. So we're using all those channels to get the message out there. Police will be out and about, and we'll work with communities. This is not about going in hard with the stick from day one. It's understanding that this will take 24 hours to resonate through. But at the end of the day, this is about protecting lives and stopping the spread.
Can you give our viewers an indication of how long this regional lockdown will last? Can you see it extending beyond the 7 days?
No, not at all. I'm very confident because a lot of this is precautionary, that this is about making sure we've got everything under control. As the contact tracers keep feeding in information, we're starting to find more exposure sites. But no, I'm very confident that next Saturday we'll be lifting the statewide restriction lockdown in the regions, and then we'll just focus on areas like Dubbo, who I believe possibly could remain in lockdown further.
There may be several regions that haven't had a case and may not be happy with this decision. Why have you decided to include the whole state?
Yeah, look, for those communities, I apologise, but the reality here, borders or local government boundaries are invisible boundaries, and the connectivity or interconnectivity between rural and regional communities, large and small towns and cities, is something that we always deal with. And what we've seen with the information that's coming back through contact tracers, how much movement there has been by those that have now got that have been infected. And so for now, it's about making sure that you don't have a case. And one way, this is a measure to protect your community, that we don't overwhelm the health system. And so for that, I apologise, but I know that if we do this, we won't have a very long lockdown in the future if this got it in front of us.
As we heard today from the Premier, the numbers are, of course, going in the wrong direction. It's day 50 of this outbreak. Why has it taken 7 weeks for the state government to implement the tougher restrictions that we've heard of today?
Well, again, we've been applying restrictions. You've seen us and seen the Premier make many changes and announcements over the course of the 6 weeks or 7 weeks that we've been in lockdown. And the reality here is that we deal with what's in front of us. So there's no question that we've got issues with either grey areas within the rules or gaps within the rules, and that's why Commissioner Fuller and his team went through those rules, identify areas that they know that on the ground has either been too difficult to police or they've been loopholes. And his report came back yesterday. We acted on it today. it's appropriate that we respond when that information becomes available. So look, there'll be always people that would argue that we should have done more earlier. We've managed it as we have. And today, it really does send a clear message that there are no more excuses.
There's been a lot of people asking this afternoon on social media where Dr. Kerry Chant is at the moment. Will she return? Of course, we are used to watching every day her stand beside the Premier, and we're beginning to trust the advice they're giving us.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Chant needs a break like everybody else. The Premier's had a couple of days off here and there during this period. Dr. Chant, who is at the coalface of dealing with not only the public-facing communication, but internally managing that information and making sure the health orders are in order. So having a break, you'll definitely see Dr. Chant again at the press conference.
Western Australia has implemented some pretty tough new restrictions over the past few days. Are you worried that the state will be locked out from the rest of the country for a very long time?
Well, at the end of the day, each state makes its own decisions, and Western Australia has not been engulfed by the Delta strain, so they've got to do whatever it takes to protect that community, and that's acceptable. But we all know that vaccination is the pathway out, and as vaccination rates increase, and New South Wales is charging ahead now, no doubt, we're very confident in the forecast where our vaccination rates will be, and states will then have to make that decision. Is it about vaccination? Is it about the risk in the community? Because as the vaccination rates go up, I'm confident, and then those numbers that you see each and every day will go down. So let's deal with that when the time comes. But in the foreseeable future, I can understand why the states close their borders.
Deputy Premier, how can we make this a 7-day lockdown? What's your message to the community at the moment?
Yeah, look, what we've done previously, what we did in Orange, we locked down for 7 days. Everyone followed the rules, and we came straight out. And it's clear that we can do it that way. And my message to our regional committees tonight is, for the next 7 days, stay home. If you can avoid leaving, do so. Go out for necessary shopping or groceries or medical appointments. Work from home, of course, work from home. And, of course, school won't be operating over the next 7 days, so there's no reason for kids to leave home. If we do that, I'm confident this time next week we'll be announcing the restrictions being lifted.
I hope we can chat to you this time next week with that news. Deputy Premier John Barilaro, appreciate your time this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.